On 6 tonight, clemency denied for a convicted killer. Billy Alverson is set to be executed in January for his part in the brutal murder of Richard Youst back in 1995. Today's clemency hearing was his last chance to avoid execution. The board voted against clemency after hearing from several people, including Alverson himself. News on 6 crime reporter Lori Fulbright has tonight's new developments. Lori?
Well, Terry, many people talked about what a changed man Billy Alverson is now, how he's trying to make up for his crime by being a better person. The board learned, for instance, he's never had a single write-up for bad behavior while in prison and has worked as a barber and an orderly while behind bars. Still, none of that was any comfort to the woman whose husband is dead or the sons he left behind. Richard Youst was beaten to death with a baseball bat in February of 1995. He was working at Quick Trip when 4 men came in to rob it. They took him to a back room to tie him up, but he put up such a fight they decided to knock him out with the bat that they had brought. But they kept hitting him 57 times until he was dead. Richard's widow and mother both asked the board to keep Alverson's death penalty in place.
They did all 4 commit this voluntarily, and equally they are all guilty, and he does deserve to die. And I hope you all see this and give Richard the justice that he deserves.
A homicide sergeant said Alverson was fully involved in the planning of the robbery, and even though he didn't swing the bat, also did nothing to stop it or get help, then lied to police later. Members of Alverson's family also testified about how he has changed his life. They say he talks to kids who tour death row about the choices they make and the company they keep. Even former Judge Ned Turnbull, who presided over the trial, spoke on Alverson's behalf. Then finally, the board heard from Alverson himself.
For 15 years, I've tried to figure out how, without being disrespectful to Mrs. Youst and her family, to let them know how sorry and ashamed I am for her and her family the way that I have.
Ultimately, the board decided to leave the jury's death sentence in place and ruled that Alverson will die for his crimes. Richard Youst's widow, 2 sons, mother, and many other relatives say they'll never get over this murder, especially knowing the horrific way Richard was killed. Their loss, of course, is horrible. Alverson's relatives are suffering, too. He has 4 sons of his own, from 15 to 20 years old, and a big, close-knit family. As a veteran homicide detective told me after the hearing today, when a crime like this is committed, everyone loses. Lori Fulbright, News on 6.